Well, thank you so much for your encouragement. I think one thing for me is that when I was in university, I lived with that sense of purpose. I would say I wouldn't say that I have it all together, that I really like want to do this or do that, but I have this idea that yes, I want to make my life count for Jesus. That I want it to amount to something, and I want to do something that I feel can contribute. And so since I think I was young, I think one thing that's why I think since about 10 years ago, before we started assembly, already like I felt this is something that the Lord want me to do. And so there's a season of preparation that I think I went through for a while. And I think part of it is really like sharing about what you want to do. Because the idea I think this is like what we're doing right now. When we share about what we want to do, it helps to enable other people with the same idea to come together. And it helps us to find other people in the kingdom. And that's the idea of a family, right? The idea of a kingdom that when you tell other people what you want to do, it resonates with them. They may have ideas and they feedback into you that, hey, you can improve here, you can improve there. And so I think since then, I think when I kind of wanted to do something like this, straight away I already started asking around, like, hey, I want to tell you what I want to do. What do you think? And then that's how people say, yeah, people will tell me like, okay, I don't really feel for this, but I know somebody who does. And that's probably a lot of them recommend Pastor Andrew, and that's how we also connect because he has the same similar vision. He has the connectivity. And so I think that's kind of how it happened. The idea that there's always a season of preparation. Yeah, when I was growing up, I was in a very conservative church, I would say. And then over a period of time, my friend invited me to a New Creation Church, which I've been there for quite long. And so one thing that I growing up started to realize is that there's a lot of division in the church. And that prevents the church from working together. Because one thing that I did in my season of preparation for about 4 or 5 years is that my parents were very kind. They were very encouraging. They are Christians, so they understood what I wanted to do, but they don't know how it was going to happen. But what I did was I would spend a year, like every year, I would spend maybe 2-3 weeks traveling around the US, for example, looking at how they do Christian concerts in the US. They have a lot of things like that called Creation Fest. They have Passion. They have all sorts of things like that. And I would go there and attend it and see how it's done. And then maybe the next year I will go to the UK and they have this thing called the Big Church Day Out. And then I would see kind of how it's done. And so since then, I realized from doing all these things is that when these things are done, the entire church body is involved. Catholics, Presbyterian, doesn't matter where you are. If your intention is to honor the Lord, you are welcome. So I think that is something that really changed my perspective. And that is why I think growing up, when I was attending New Creation Church, I realized, I think at that time that we need to do something to help bring all the churches together or do something that has the involvement of all the churches. So that, I think growing up, that's what the church looked like to me. It's definitely less united than it is today, I would say. I think if you ask Pastor Andrew 5, 7, 10 years ago even, right? It was much more contentious. You would have open disagreements and stuff like that. I mean, it's just a different phase, I think. But it's just that, thank God that we are in the right season where I think the church is also more open. So that's kind of, I think, how the church looked like growing up and what I think it's happening and what it looks like now. I'm a hedge fund manager, so we buy and sell stocks on the stock market. And the truth is like, I don't know what the outcome is. I mean, we do all our best calculations for math and all that, but at the end of the day, I really don't know what will happen. So I do really pray a lot, and I do consult the Lord to guide all my steps. But one thing that I also did learn in life is that I actively pray for projects to fail. And I something that I learned, actually I learned this from Pat Barrett. And the idea is that when I undertake something, could be a work related activity, or could be even like our assembly activity, or even my wife. Now I'm on set. She's filming downstairs. I'm in the studio of her filming location doing the call. But the idea is that like this, people always pray for things to succeed. But even in work nowadays, what I do is I pray that, if this activity doesn't contribute to the kingdom of God, my prayer is that it fails. And so from there, I do try to do that. And there's some projects that, if they fail, I have that sense of joy that I believe that this is working together for good.
Wow, that is so good. It's like, wow, to be praying for things to fail so that God will direct your paths in the right direction. That is so powerful.
To start on this topic, I share with you my personal view. I mean, I don't know whether you agree with it. If you don't be offended. But I think what you say is exactly right. There are some people who are called to full-time and some who are not. And I personally believe that, yes, if you are called to full-time and you continue to stay in the corporate world, you miss your calling. But I also believe that if you are called to the corporate world and you go to full-time, you can also similarly miss your calling. And so I believe that is true for the church. Like, everybody has a unique role. And so I think the idea behind it is, whatever you do, I think there is a role for you in which your skill set, if you think of it as, how can I apply what I do to the kingdom of God and add value to the kingdom of God, then you will always hit your mark. Because whatever you do, you are developing a skill set, you are developing something that if you feel and consider, how can I apply it for the kingdom, the kingdom of God will have more innovation than there is today. Yeah, I think stewardship means obedience. Because some people have different ideas of stewardship. Some people feel that, yes, if I have money, I have to sow into orphanage, or like if I have money, I need to do this, or I need to do that, like traditionally accepted Christian activities. But the idea of stewardship, I feel, is not like giving to these like traditionally accepted ministries. It is at the heart of it like obedience. And that's the idea of stewardship. If the Lord direct you to do this, it doesn't seem like it's traditionally what people consider a good steward, but at the end of the day, if it's something that the Lord asks you to do and you do it, you are a good steward. So it could be doing things that seem like bad traditional decisions, and it's something that you are accountable. Your stewardship, you're not holding the money of the church, you're holding the money of Jesus. So you have to be obedient to him and not the church. So in this context, I would say, yeah, there are some people who even like question our ministry. Why do we spend so much money, for example, like supporting worship initiatives? Shouldn't we use it to send missionaries to Cambodia? Or should we use this money to do treks, or or whatever? I mean, the idea is that this is what the Lord asks us to do. We do it. We are good stewards, accountable to him. So I think that's the idea of stewardship. At the core of it's obedience.